Good afternoon. My name is Olivia Sellers. I'm one of the clinical dietitians at U of Health's Jacksonville downtown campus. Today, I will be speaking to you all about this week's Nourished Life topic on mindful eating. So during this presentation, I will define what mindfulness is, discuss the roles of mental health and eating behaviors, and explain the difference between mindful and mindless eating, while also demonstrating how to eat mindfully. So first off, what is mindfulness? So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, the definition of mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. Mindfulness has roots in the Buddhist meditation and involves acceptance. So those that practice pay attention to their thoughts and feelings without judgment. So there's no right or wrong way to feel in any moment. It's just about tuning into the present moment rather than, going back to the past or thinking about the future. So as you already may know, mental health plays a large role in our eating behaviors. According to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, people tend to eat too little or eat too much when they're depressed or under stressed. So in our society today, food is abundant and it's easy to think or to eat without thinking about it. So mindless eating can happen when we're distracted. So that may be if we're sitting down watching TV, if we're eating and doing work during the day, or even driving. So food is also used as a coping mechanism when we aren't hungry, but rather feeling stressed, angry, bored, or sad, feeling some type of emotion. So this lack of awareness can lead to unwanted weight gains and also can lead to feelings of guilt. So if you find that when you're stressed, you overeat, it can be helpful to slow down and stop what you're doing when the urge to eat arises. Writing down your feelings, what you're feeling in the moment may help uncover, what's actually bothering you and determine if you need food to help you feel better or if there's something else you can do. So emotional eating, according to the Mayo Clinic, is defined as eating in a way to suppress or soothe negative emotions. So that could be stress, anger, fear, sadness, boredom, or loneliness. Major life events or just the common occurrences in daily life can trigger negative emotions, and these negative emotions can lead us to emotional eat. So emotional distress can cause us to have impulsive behaviors, such as binge eating. So binge eating is when we consume whatever's convenient to us without enjoyment. Our emotions can also become so closely tied to our eating habits that you may automatically reach for your favorite comfort food or treat whenever you do start to feel angry or stressed without even actually thinking about the action or what you're doing. So this can lead to what's known as the emotional eating cycle. So it starts as an emotion triggers you to overeat. So that could be a stressful day at work, financial stress, or personal life. You then overeat, but after you overeat, you start to beat yourself up and you experience these feelings of guilt for binging. And then this guilt or shame you feel for binging or overeating causes you to get emotional again, and then it leads back to the cycle of overeating. So learning the difference between physical and emotional hunger takes practice. But here are just a couple ways to kind of differentiate between the two. So when you're feeling an emotional hunger, this can kind of come on suddenly versus physical hunger. It's occurring gradually, and you can kind of start to feel yourself shifting through the different levels of hunger. When you're eating to fill an emotion or fill a void, you may crave a specific food such as ice cream, and then only that food can meet your needs versus when you're eating to fill a physical hunger, you're more open to a variety of options. Emotional hunger feels like it needs to be satisfied instantaneously with the specific food that you're craving, versus with physical hunger, you can kind of wait and push it off. With emotional hunger, you may continue to eat well beyond the point of physical fullness when you're using food to address that emotional need. And for physical hunger, you're much more likely to be able to stop when you're actually full. Emotional eating is significantly more likely to result in feelings of guilt than when you're eating to satisfy hunger. So, one of the best tactics for curbing emotional eating is to use the HALT technique. This is a series of questions to ask yourself when you start to feel like eating. So, ask yourself if you're hungry, are you tired, are you lonely, or are you angry? If you're hungry, by all means, honor your hunger. So choose something to nourish and satisfy your physical hunger. If not, and you realize you're using food as a way to cope with your emotions, that's totally okay. Give yourself grace. And see if there's another way to cope with your feelings without using food. So this could be going for a walk or getting in some type of movement, maybe calling a friend just to kind of talk about what's going on, how you're feeling, or if you're tired, go take a nap and see if you feel better when you wake up. So mindless eating is when we are not fully aware or appreciating each bite of food as we eat it. We usually end up taking more and more bites, often leading to the point of feeling uncomfortably full. Mindless eating can occur anytime the brain is distracted and we're not aware of how much food is actually being consumed. So there are 5 factors that contribute to mindless eating. Disinhibition, so that's eating when you're not hungry. Distracted eating, so that's our mindless eating, which occurs when the mind is sidetracked by a conversation, television, or other distractions. Lack of awareness. It's easy to not realize how much food you're consuming if you're eating directly out of a bag or a container and not measuring out the portion sizes. So if you're going to sit down in front of the TV or you're going to get a snack and you're at work, it can be helpful if you portion out, whatever you're eating. Maybe it's chips, trail mix, nuts, whatever it may be. So that way you don't kind of continue to eat mindlessly. Emotional eating. Emotions play a large role in mindless eating. So like I said earlier, some individuals may turn to food for comfort, and pay attention to your emotions and try to find other ways to handle them instead of using food. And then the 5th is external reasons. So that could be like a food advertisement or a TV commercial, which can contribute to mindless eating as well. So to combat mindless eating, we can practice mindful eating. Mindful eating is an approach to food that focuses on the individual's sensual awareness of the food and their experience of the food. It has little to do with calories, carbohydrates, fats, or proteins, your macronutrients. And though the purpose of mindful eating is not to lose weight, some studies suggest that it's highly likely that those who adopt this style of eating will lose weight. The actual intention is to help the individual savor the moment in the food and encourages full presence for the eating experience. So mindfulness is process-oriented rather than an outcome-driven behavior. So instead of restricting intake, it encourages the individual to focus on appreciating the experience of food. The person eating chooses what and how much food to consume. So like I mentioned, it's not coincidental that within a mindful approach, the person's choices are often to eat less, savor eating more, and select foods consistent with desirable health benefits. Studies suggest that mindful eating is highly likely to be associated with weight loss, but future studies will be necessary to examine the exact correlation. So diets for weight loss are usually successful in the short term, but many tend to fail over time. Diets tend to focus on the rules of eating. So what to eat, how much to eat, and what not to eat. with the intended measurements of a specific outcome. So for these diets to be successful, one must stick to the diet plan. So this is the difference between mindless and conscious eating. So with mindful eating, it's not about rules or guidelines. Instead, it's focusing on the individual experience and how you feel during the eating experience. Not one person is going to have the same experience with the same food every time. So the idea is for people to have their own experience and to be present in the moment while having them. So to practice mindful eating, John Kabat-Zinn developed the raisin meditation. So he gave it to his students as a sensory experience of being mindful. So I've personally done this experience with a grape. You can really try it with any food. So the goal is to fully experience the food and be completely present in the moment without distractions. You want to pretend that you've never experienced anything like this food. So you have no experience, no judgment, fears, or expectations, and everything is just going to be new to you. So we'll be sending the slideshow out to you after the presentation. I highly recommend that you take the time to try this exercise with, a grape, a raisin, a piece of cheese, really any food you want to experience the mindful eating lesson with. So how can we be mindful? So to be mindful, we're going to be wanting to pay attention to what's occurring in the present moment without any judgment or distractions. So these are just a few tips to help become a mindful eater. So you want to slow down. It can take up to 20 minutes before your body actually realizes that it's full from a meal. So by taking the time to truly enjoy each bite of your food, and practice the Kabat-Zinn mindful eating exercise during your meal, this can help you to pause and experience each bite of your meal. Think about where the food comes from. Is it grown from the ground? Has it been picked from a vine? Is it, from the sea? Just kind of where is it coming from? Create a healthy environment by eliminating distractions. So turn off the TV, put your phone on silent or put it in another room, sit down at the table with water, put on some music. We want to make it an enjoyable experience, and this can kind of help eliminate the risk of overeating or mindless eating by eliminating those distractions. Consider how you're feeling when you're eating. Ask yourself, are you eating because you're hungry, or are you eating because you're feeling some sort of emotion? If you're physically hungry, by all means eat. But if you realize that you're actually emotional and that's why you're eating, ask yourself, is it really food that you need in this moment, or is there something else that you can do to make you feel better? And then pay attention to your hunger cues. So using the hunger and fullness scale can help you determine if you're actually hungry or still satisfied from your previous meal. So this is the hunger and fullness scale, and it's a tool to help you increase awareness of your different hunger levels. So it can kind of help you choose the right times for you to eat and when to stop eating, when it's right for you in that moment. So when you're learning to listen to your body's cues, to help you decide how much to eat, referring back to the scale makes it easier to identify how your body feels, so you know when to eat and then also when you've had enough. So on the scale, you'll see each level of hunger and fullness is ranked with a number, and it gives you an example of how you may feel at this level. So it's important for me to remind everybody that we're all different, and how I feel at a level 4 may be different than how somebody else feels at a level 4. So it's unique to you, and how you feel when you're ready to eat is probably different from somebody else. So the first time that you apply the scale, like I mentioned on the previous slide, it's important to have an environment free from distractions where you can really pay attention to your body, and eat slowly with intention. So as you get more familiar and practice this more, you won't always be assigning numbers and thinking about the chart forever. But you'll actually be able to tune in and listen to your body's cues. Just note that it's going to take a conscious effort in the beginning, especially if it's been a while since you've listened to them. If you're following a strict diet, that's going to be more of a process oriented rather than an experience driven practice. So it can take time to get adjusted to actually listening to what your body needs. So this is just a tool to help you in the beginning. So how do we apply the hunger and fullness scale? So honoring your hunger means keeping your body fed when you're physically hungry. You have to start listening, engaging your hunger levels. So this is where using a scale when you're thinking about eating. So it ranges from being completely empty to neutral to so full that you physically feel sick. So the first step is becoming attuned to your innate hunger and fullness cues. Is to identify your hunger level before eating. So when you're starting to think about food for the first time, or it's time that you've set aside to eat is getting close, it's time to start checking in and seeing how we feel. Try to feel your body's sensations and decide where on the scale you might be falling in that moment. If possible, you want to try and plan your food around the hunger levels 3 or 4. So at this stage, you may be feeling hungry enough and decide on what you feel like eating. So once you do this, you'll likely have fallen to a level 2 to 3 when you have food on your plate, and you'll be ready to eat and enjoy your meal this time. So that's how it would work in a perfect world, when you don't have meetings or have to pick up the kids and no distractions. Just know there's no right or wrong times to eat, since every meal, every day, and everyone's circumstances are different. Using the scale is just going to help you to understand and identify the ways that your body tells you its hunger level. So then when you're actually eating your meal, have a halfway point check-in. So when about half your food is gone, take a moment to feel the sensations in your body and ask yourself, am I still hungry? Am I comfortably full? If I'm still hungry, how much more do I think I need to eat before I'll be completely full and satisfied? This can also be a good opportunity to determine if the food you're eating still tastes good. So are you craving a new taste or sensation? This is a great way to make sure your satisfaction from your meals meets your satiety levels too. So say you're eating a taco or taco bowl and it's just not tasting good anymore and you're starting to want something sweet. So try switching to that piece of chocolate or fruit to satisfy the new craving you have. Because if you find in the past that your sweet tooth takes you to a level 9 of uncomfortable fullness because you wait until after your meal is over, this could be a way to kind of help you from overeating and getting to that point of uncomfortable fullness while also meeting your satiety and giving, that satisfaction of satisfying that sweet craving. And then the third step is feeling and honoring your fullness. So learning how to cue in and identify your hunger can help remove the discomfort after eating so that you feel energized and ready to continue on with your day. So ideally, you want to stop eating at a level 7. So when you're feeling comfortable, full, and content with your body. Be mindful of your physiological signals that tell you you're no longer hungry. And then also abandon the idea that you feel like you need to eat until your plate is clean. Instead, stop in the middle of eating and check first, the taste and satiety check. And, determine, are you hungry enough to continue or do you actually feel satisfied? Is this food enjoyable enough to, merit any more bites, or are you just eating because the food's there in front of you? It's okay to end some meals feeling too full because the food you're eating was too good. But if this happens frequently, you may want to do some inner work and see if there's something else going on that's leading you to overeat so frequently. If you On the other hand, if you're ending your meals before you're comfortably full, this could be one of the reasons you're feeling hungry an hour or two after you eat. Having a snack for times like these can help you from dropping into the lower levels of the hunger scale. So that's when we start to feel hangry, dizzy, and other symptoms of extreme hunger. If you feel like you need food 1 to 2 hours after eating a meal frequently, this may be an indication that you're not eating enough during your meals and you may need to eat some more. So the hunger scale is by no means meant to be a rule book. Instead, look at it as a guide to help you explore how your body feels when you should be reaching for a snack, when you're sitting down to eat, or when you're putting down the fork. Your body has its own internal regulating system to inform you when it needs full and when it's had enough. So by learning to become attuned with our hunger and fullness cues, you can feel confident in eating without a diet plan. Nourish your body with the amount of energy it needs at any given time, and also help to maintain your body's own healthy set point weight.